welcome back. If you're new, my name is Cassie Essery, and this is Learn With Us. Because I'm a teacher and it is summer vacation, my mom and I recently went on a spontaneous trip to Texas, and I'm here to tell you all about it. So if you're interested in travel and some little tips here and there, then keep on watching. Alrighty, so we started our trip off in Eugene, Oregon, flying to Denver and then down to Austin. When we arrived, the Austin airport really surprised me. It was a really fun atmosphere with some cool restaurants and seating, and I thought I could spend a little bit of time here if I had a layover. So if you're going through there, it's not so bad. Once we got out of the Austin airport, we drove to San Antonio. I've never really thought that it was a destination to go to just because I didn't know anything about it, but it was pretty cool. So if you've never heard of it, the San Antonio River Walk is something you have to do. Oh, it was gorgeous. There's this river that goes through the city, and the roads are kind of above the river. And so all of the buildings will have a little basement, so down below, where you can walk along the river, and there's a bunch of shops and restaurants and people everywhere. They also have guided river tours, and it was just, it was so cool. So the place that we stayed had direct access to the river walk from the basement, so all we had to do was go down and walk out, and there we were. The whole river walk was about 2 miles, I think, all the way around. So in the heat of the summer, it was hot, but it was beautiful, and we made the most of it. So my mom and I stayed at the Jury Plaza, which was an old bank and completely gorgeous. They also had a happy hour in the afternoon where we got up to 3 drinks, which was pretty good, and a ton of food. They had all of these appetizers that were delicious, and we ended up not even needing to go get dinner because we were full from that. So that was included in the price of the room, as was the massive breakfast in the morning. There was a huge buffet. It was pretty extravagant. So even if you're looking at a place to stay and you're trying to factor in the cost of food, that place had everything we needed. And it was right by the old cathedral, which was, it was beautiful. It was incredible. And right walking distance to everything that you would want to see. You could technically walk to the Alamo, but we didn't. So now I'm going to tell you about that. So the next morning we went to the Alamo, which is free to enter, but you have to get tickets for certain times, at least right now because of COVID. I'm not sure if that's a normal thing because they're trying to regulate how many people go through. If you wanted a guided tour or, the audio tours, you did have to pay for that, but we just kind of wanted to go in and see it. And you can still read all of the signs, like a museum and everything. We got there about 10 and our ticket said 11:45. So we thought, what are we going to do to kill time? And we had heard about this really cool marketplace. And let me tell you, I felt like I was in Mexico. It was very cool, very cool. A bunch of handmade things, kind of like a flea market style. So we killed some time there and then came back for our ticket time at the Alamo. And we got there just a little bit before our time and they let us in. So that's a little tip. If you get there around your time, they'll probably let you in even a little bit early. A fun fact, that little building, the one that everybody sees in the pictures, is an old church, and the walls are actually 4 feet thick. The grounds were gorgeous, and they had these super cool trees. It's hard to describe, but there you are. If you're a history buff, you could probably spend a lot of time there. We are not, and that's okay. We had a lot of things on our to-do list for that day. We had to drive a really long ways, and so we decided to kind of just zip through and go our way. But it was a really cool experience, and I'm really happy that we got to go there. By the way, please don't mind my messy classroom. I'm currently setting up, so it is what it is. All right, next stop, Waco. But first, on the way there, somebody told us that we needed to stop by Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's? And yeah, it's a gas station. Okay. It was the craziest gas station I've ever been to. It was massive. Not only were there a ton of gas pumps, like a lot of them, but the market, I couldn't even say a mini mart because it was huge. It felt like a like a store. They had a massive coffee center. They had tons of food, including brisket sandwiches. They also had a jerky bar. Jerky? That whole thing is jerky. Yeah. They also sold clothes and bathing suits and home decor and pretty much everything you could think of at this random gas station. And apparently they're actually all over the place, but we had never experienced anything like that. So if you're in the area down there, you should probably go to one. It's just something I think you have to do. So, Waco. When we arrived, we actually saw Baylor University right there off of the freeway, and we thought, we gotta go there first. So we drove around for about a half an hour. I had no idea it was so big, and oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. It was just so pretty. Yeah, I don't know if that's your thing, but at least for me, a teacher, I always have to see the school in a town that we go to, and universities, I think they're really fun to look at. So if you are a nerd like me, you're gonna wanna drive through there at least. So then we went to Magnolia. We're here. We actually got there with only about an hour left because they close at 6. And it's not just closing the stores, it's closing the grounds because it's surrounded by a fence. So we did a little bit of browsing around, kind of just looking at the stuff that was there, taking it in. You know, like when you get to Disneyland and you're like, wow, taking it in, right? You know what I mean. And that's what we did. We went back the next day and noticed so many more things. And we really had the time to experience it. So I'd make sure that you have time to go there, not just be there for an hour, because you can't do it all in an hour, which I think kind of makes it like a destination. So after we left Magnolia, when it closed, we went to Union Hall, which is kind of like a food hall with a bunch of little food stands inside, and you can pick whatever you want. So it's kind of like food carts, but inside, and that's a really fun thing if you have people who are picky eaters. So after dinner, we went to some of the fixer-upper houses. We got the addresses online, and we got to see them in real life, and it was so cool, especially if you had some of your favorites that you really loved that were in town. We saw about 6 of them, and we were probably out an hour, but part of that was me because driving is hard sometimes. Anyways, we pulled up to one of my favorites, the German Schmear House. Oh, it was gorgeous. And the family was inside and they saw us looking and they waved to us, and it was so cute because I thought, oh no, they're gonna think we're creepers, but I bet there's a lot of people who drive past those houses, so those people are probably really used to it, and it was just really sweet because, I mean, I would think somebody would get annoyed by that, but they were just really nice and like, hey, so that was cool. Fangirling a little bit. Alrighty, so the next day, we went back to Magnolia in the morning and we got some little bakery stuff from the Silo Bakery, and we finished walking around the warehouse, and well, they had a bunch of shops, like pretty much everything you could think of. They have a little garden shop, they have an accessories shop, they have one for kids, they have one for men, they have a Bath and Body one, they have a paper one, they have all these little tiny shops. So cute. There's also a beautiful chapel in there, which I didn't even anticipate seeing, but it looks like it would be beautiful for a wedding. So hopefully someday they can hold a wedding there, maybe for one of their kids or something, because it would be pretty cool. Inside, I grabbed a couple dish towels as souvenirs to bring back. One of my friends from school actually went over Christmas and she brought me back one, and it was so special, and I thought that is a great idea. So if you're looking for something cheaper to bring back for somebody, there it is. Also, they have a bunch of food trucks there, including a Silo Bakery truck. So if you don't want to wait in the long line to get into the bakery, then you can just get stuff from the food truck there. Also, they had the same one for the restaurant. So if you didn't know, they opened a restaurant across town, and it's kind of difficult to get in. You have to wait in line or get there right when they open. And so if you don't want to do that, they also have a food truck there. And so we kind of got to experience a little bit of the restaurant too, and we got a little sandwich platter to split, and it was perfect. So after all of that, we said goodbye to Waco and drove back to Austin. A lot of driving. Also, Texas drivers are just crazy. If you're from Texas, comment below, please. Tell me you understand. I have never driven that fast in my life, which, don't get me wrong, because we were driving a long ways, it was nice to drive about 85. Yeah, but it was a little scary. Like, people were a little crazy there. And also, their street lights are different. They're sideways, which I had never seen before. Kind of cool. I actually really liked it because, you know, when there's trucks in front of you and you can't see the street light, but when it was sideways, you could. So for our last event in Austin, we decided to go to the Lyndon B. Johnson Presidential Library. I had never been to a presidential library before, but my mom said if my grandma were here, she would make us go, so we went. I was actually very pleasantly surprised. I learned a lot that I did not know about his presidency, because I think most people just associate him with taking over for JFK when he was assassinated, and that was that. That was basically all I knew, which I know is pretty pathetic, I guess. So he and his wife were actually really influential when it comes to civil rights matters, including helping people get out of poverty. His wife also headed up Head Start. So if you know what Head Start is, that's because of her. They had a special exhibit that was all about her, which was really sweet, and it really enlightened me. It seems like she wanted him to be president more than he wanted to be president. Even though it kind of ran in his family to be in politics, she really had a lot of agendas that she wanted to get done to change the world. But because she was a woman, she couldn't. So her husband ran and she campaigned for him. She actually went out and campaigned by herself one time for him. And so it just, I don't know, it made me, I was like, good for you. Also bummer because she could have been president because she also had a lot of good things she wanted to do for the world, but I digress. Overall, through their presidency, they were able to accomplish a lot for the United States people, and it was really special to learn about. One more thing, we had to get tickets online beforehand, and they would not let us in until the exact time. So our tickets were for 2 o'clock. We got there at about 1:15, thinking it would be similar to the Alamo. No. They said exactly 2 o'clock. Before we headed to our hotel, we had to stop for some barbecue recommended by some friends. We got some brisket, potato salad, and mac and cheese, and it did not disappoint. We also drove through downtown Austin and saw some beautiful sights if you're a fan of cities, so definitely check that out. So we stayed the night and got up really early the next morning to go to the airport, and there was a long, and I mean it, a long security line. So if you are flying out of Austin, make sure you are there very early, even if you're TSA pre-checked. We waited for about 45 minutes just to get through security. So don't go there if you're in a hurry. Yeah, don't go there if you're in a hurry. If you made it to the end of the video, good on ya. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something or at least enjoyed it. Okay, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!